Unexploded Cow is far from being a new game. It came out in the early 2000s and it was published by Cheap Ass, a very original and unusual name for a publisher, but the cheap part definitely makes sense because this publisher specialized for a long time in very inexpensive designs. Basically, you would buy the design, the components really didn't matter much. You had the rules, maybe a paper board, and the game was designed on the assumption that gamers will buy and play the game, and gamers would have at home all of the components that need to be supplied to play the game. Pawns, tokens, dice, money, whether play money or real money, coins that can be used. So they tried to keep the expense to a minimum. The game came out, as I said, over 10 years ago. Must have been pretty successful because it is still around. And a year or two ago, it also got a facelift and it was republished in a deluxe edition, which is the one that I'm holding here, Unexploded Cow. So we're gonna look at the design, but we're also gonna take a look at the components because this is one of the upgrades and the new things about this specific edition. Unexploded Cow, the topic, oh my god, it deserves an award just for the originality and wittiness of the topic. The game is a snapshot of Europe in the late 90s, and I was there, I remember it, it's pretty accurate. Two things were big on the news back then. War ordnance found in France, unexploded ordnance that needed to be dealt with, and the mad cows in Britain that were frigging the heck out of everybody. The game is based on the assumption that somebody got the idea of using the two problems, using one of them as the solution of the other. So in this game, you're gonna ship cows from England to France, and you're gonna send them in the scenic French countryside to clear minefields, hoping that they will explode. And by exploding cows, you will gain the friendship and gratitude of French towns that, in terms of gameplay, will give you special advantages. The game comes with a bag of money, play money, that thanks to all the gods of war and cows is not paper money, it's cardboard tokens. There's also a die in there. And at the beginning of the game, each player starts with an initial amount of money. There's a central pot, a central bank where players contribute to start the initial amount of money that is there. If during the game the bank remains without any money, then each player needs to put in 500 francs, they weren't euros back then, 500 money to restart the pot. So basically, if the bank fails, the players have to bail that out. When does that ever happen? Anyways, you had the rules, definitely not long, pretty simple single sheet of rules, colorful. And then you have the cards, which actually are divided in two decks of cards. One is the deck representing the towns in France that will be friendly to you and very grateful if you blow up cows in their vicinity. In the game, you shuffle this deck of French locations. You flip one face up, and this is the town that the players are presently trying to clear of unexploded weapons. If a player manages to explode a cow in their own play area during their own turn, then they gain the card, and they also gain the benefit. So simply you perform the action that is described at the bottom. The player also takes the card, and a new one is revealed. Each player starts with a hand of these cards. The other cards form a draw pile in the middle of the table, and then you're good to go. Cards may represent cows that you will play in herds on the table. You can play them in your own player in front of you, and that is your own herd, but there are also some cows that for various reasons you may want to play in other players' herds. They may be cows, not this one you want for yourself, but as an example, there are cows that you may want to play in the players' herds because those are bad cows actually. They will deliver a penalty, they will cause a penalty to the player that has them in their herd when they explode. Events, you simply resolve the event described. Cows and events have a price that you need to pay from your personal savings. You play it into the central bank, and that's it. When you purchase a cow, as I said, you place it in your own herd if it's a good cow, in somebody else's herd if it's a bad cow. So you will form a line of cows in front of yourself, and then once you're done playing cards, you can play as many as you want. You roll the die to explode a cow somewhere, possibly in your own herd, but it may be that you will trigger an explosion somewhere else. Also, I should have said that at the beginning of your turn, you draw 2 new cards, and then you can play as many as you want as long as you can afford them. Once you're done playing cards, you roll the die, and the number that you roll, you count starting from your rightmost card and moving left. So, for example, if I rolled a 1, I start from here, 1. Boom, that is the card that explodes. The result of the D6 indicates the position of the card that explodes. 1, this card explodes. And I rolled a 2, 1, 2, boom. I rolled a 3, you guessed it. What if I rolled a 4? Then 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes to the rightmost card to the next player. The next player doesn't have any cows. We keep going around. The first turn it may be that we won't be able to assign all the explosions, but later on, if you roll high numbers, most likely the card will go, the bomb will hit the card of an opponent, which is good for them, because when a card explodes, the cow that explodes generates that amount of money for the player that controls it. Usually you control the cards in your herd. There are some cards called spies. You place them in other player's herd, but they still belong to you. So if they explode there, they generate money for you. But other than that, other than some of these special effects, you gain points from cards in your own herd. So generally speaking, you will want to have large herds, because if you have 5, then you're sure that when you roll something, you will get, or you will be likely to get something. Because actually, if you roll a 6, that's a penalty. It is to ensure that you won't get cards 100%. You won't be able 100% of the times to get a card. If you roll a 6, you don't get to explode a bomb. That is, you don't get to explode a bomb at all, so you won't be able to explode a card in your herd. You simply skip that phase and you give the die to the next player. So that's just to ensure that even if you had 6 cards, there's still a chance that you won't be able to score there. But having a lot of cards is usually a good idea, unless the case is when it's bad. Because there are also some events which can be pretty nasty, because cards can be taken away from you. So actually, if you have a herd of a lot of very good cards, maybe somebody will play this card and they will swap any number of cows in your herd with their own, which is bad, because now they're taking your good cards. Maybe that would have been better if you had them in your hand and you put them down when you maybe had a good chance of exploding them. The history is repeating itself. That's not an effect that is particularly interesting right now, but there's an effect that pretty much allows you to move the herds around. So you give your herd to the next player and you get the herd from the previous player, which means if you spend other resources to put together this amazing herd, then it goes to the next player and the next player will benefit from it. So having a large herd is overall usually a good idea, with the exception of the times when it isn't. Some effects are pretty general, like draw 2 cards, things that we get to expect in games where there are special abilities and effects. There's the card that I mentioned earlier. The turn ends, you skip your bomb roll, but then all players pass their herds to the left, except for any cows that you played this turn. So it can be pretty annoying if you get bad cards. Some cows have special abilities that will be used when they're in your herd. For example, this cow may steal a bomb from another cow in the same herd. Suppose that you have a bad cow and that cow would explode, then you can redirect the bomb towards that card. Bad cows are cows such as this one. If they're hit by a bomb during the bomb roll, for example, if I had rolled a 4, then I lose the amount of money printed here instead of gaining it. Other abilities you have, oh, this one is super neat. Halsey the Bomber. You see these two arrows indicate that when she grabs a bomb, the explosion spreads to the two cars that are adjacent to her. So all of these cows explode together, and that can be a pretty powerful combo because I'm cashing a lot. The General, I saw it earlier, is also pretty good. Here you go, because can pass a bomb to another cow in the same herd, so you simply can give it to more profitable cows while you're still keeping this one in your herd. A lot of effects such as this one. Between events and stuff that the cows can do, there definitely is a lot of stuff that you can do. As I said, if you blow up one of your own cows during your own turn, you gain a city card, so you get an advantage, but the cards that are leaving the city deck also represent the timer for the game, because when the last city card is assigned, the last phase of the game is triggered, which is the sudden death. At that point, players don't get new cows, their turn is shortened. All that happens is they start taking bomb rolls, so with the cows that they have. A roll, trigger a bomb, give the die to the next player, roll that bomb, and so on and so forth. Cash in money as usual, lose money as usual for bad cows, and you continue with the sudden death phase until either there aren't any more cows left or there isn't any money left in the pot at the center of the table. And at the point, the player with the most money in their personal area is the winner of the game. So Unexploded Cow is simple, is silly. The theme has to be one of the silliest that I've ever seen. But overall the game works well. Without being an exceptional game, it is definitely entertaining because there's humor in the art for the game. In the names of the cows, a cow called Winston, of course, references are there and are bound to fly around the table. I was in Europe, I remember the mad cow. I wish I thought about such a use for mad cows at the time. Nobody would have done it already, but it would have been pretty entertaining already. And it is entertaining to see this crazy zany idea here. Exploding cows. When I mentioned this game to people, immediately people are drawn, what do you mean? And then when they learn about the game, no one can resist but feeling a moment of admiration for the way in which these two elements, ordnance and cows, have been connected in something that doesn't make much sense, and yet somehow it does, eerily enough. It's a fun theme. The theme is definitely fun. Mechanically, the game is a little messy. There's nothing really special about it, but it has its own wrinkles. It has a couple of angles that do make gameplay interesting. Luck is really important. I really get the sense that it's like crawling, coming out of, I don't know, a pit full of butter is really... cow milk butter. It's really slippery. You can use your skills, but at the end, the combination of cards that you have and that the players receive can create such powerful events, can shake the ground under your feet, and your best laid plans, like all best laid plans of cows and men, just will not work. So that is one thing. It's supposed to be a game of luck and strategy, but the strategy at times you get the sense really did not achieve much. As I said, you can still make some preparations. You can still play along some general guidelines. Having a large herd is not always a good idea. Having a small one is not always a good idea. But as I said, the factors that will determine how desirable and sound the decision is are very often out of your control. Generally speaking, you're trying to get as many chances as you can to blow up a cow in your own area without leaving too many options open for other people to steal from you. It's a humorous game. You shouldn't take it too seriously. There are a lot of take that moments, from when you give back cows to people, you place a spy in their herd, you steal cows, you move cows around. But then what goes around comes around. The cows, destiny, fate, everything. So if you're a little too much take that, you will then receive what you have given tenfold. So you need the right spirit for this game. It's a game that will drive quote-unquote professional serious gamers nuts because it's unpolished, because there's something rough about it, because it's messy. But if you're in the right spirit, you're not gonna obsess about little details, and you're not looking for an exclusively meritocratic game, then there's a game that is a lot of fun. You'll laugh about the theme, you'll laugh about the art, you will laugh about the pain that you inflict on your opponents by punching them with some really nasty effects. You will not laugh too much maybe when you receive those effects yourself, you're the target of those effects, or maybe you laugh. That should be the right spirit actually. You should laugh as hard when people use negative effects against you as when you're doing that to them. Maybe you won't be able to, but at least pretend, something like that. It's fun, it's silly, the theme is silly, the mechanics capture the zaniness and strangeness and weirdness of the theme. Filler, I wish it could. Actually, it takes a little longer to play than I expected. Even when you know how to play the game, and this is maybe one of the drawbacks, it may take a bit longer than desirable to play. You need to warn players that they should not try to create plans that are too detailed, too airtight, because they will not work anyways. And on top of that, they will slow down a game that, if it goes over 20 minutes, half an hour, it may overstay its welcome. On the other hand, an advantage, the game can be simplified in a very easy fashion, be played with young gamers. I did play this game with my daughter, who's 5-year-old. All that we did simply was to ignore the instructions of the special abilities of the cows. So all that matters with the cows is the price and how much money they generate. The effects, those I read to my daughter, both from the card effects and the effects of the French towns. The card that moves hairs around, and cards that allow you to steal cows, those with the news, because that's not a level of confrontation that kids really enjoy. But as a game where my daughter and her friends put down their cards, spend money, it also gets them to count, and they're happy. 2 and 1, how much is that again? Oh, I give you 5, how much change do I get? That's good. But as a game in which they get to count some money, to put down some cards and roll a die and get more money, of course, it's stripped down to the bare bones, and there's not enough meat for experienced gamers, but a 5-year-old can play it, and most importantly, can enjoy. So, Unexploded Cow, funny, simple. You can simplify to play it with very young children. Unsimplified, play with the right crowd can be a lot of fun. With the wrong crowd, can just be like, what is this? Still silly. You have to be in the right spirit for silliness. If you are, then there's a lot of fun that you can have with Unexploded Cow.